Welcome back to SweViver, guys. My name is Martin and today I'm giving you my full in-depth review of the European retail version of the TPCAST. As you may know, I've been using the first Chinese version of the TPCAST for more than 3 months now. I've been using it daily while doing my VR gameplay videos here on SweViver. I've been testing it, I've been stress testing it. I have made 3 different review videos of the TPCAST, the Chinese version, and I think wireless virtual reality is a huge step forward in terms of immersion, freedom, and also comfort. Throughout the 3 months that I have been using my Chinese version of the TPCAST, I have learned all about it. I know how it works, I know how it performs, but I also know its issues because there are a few issues in the Chinese version of the TPCAST. Even though it didn't bother me, I still want to see if all those issues are still there in this European retail version of the TPCAST or if they have been fixed. So as usual, I'm gonna split this review in a couple of parts in this video where I'm gonna go through all the steps that you maybe want to hear about. First of all, the unboxing, then the installation itself, both hardware installation and also the software installation. And after that, we are gonna try out the TPCAST unit in a couple of games. We're gonna stress test it as much as we can, and we're gonna have a final conclusion and my personal thoughts about this European TPCAST version. So let's start off by taking a look what's inside of this box. The box itself looks actually a little bit more fancy now. It looks more like a retail and finished consumer-ready product. Even though if you take off the first cover, you're gonna see that, well, it's almost the same box as before. So let's have a first look inside. As you can see, there's not much of a difference compared to my previous Chinese version of the TPCAST, except the fact that the Anker 20 amp battery is now included. The battery holder or the unit that we are attaching the battery to looks exactly the same as with the Chinese version of the TPCAST, except the fact that those CE marks, the approval for the European version, and is now there. Looking at the receiver itself that we are gonna attach to the HTC Vive, there is no difference at all compared to the Chinese version. We still got the TPCAST brand at the back of it. We still have the same connectors. So as I can see, there is no difference at all compared to the Chinese version. The transmitter itself, it looks exactly the same as the Chinese version, of course. It's still TPCAST branded, and well, I don't think there's much to say about it. It's hopefully just gonna be more quiet. Looking at the battery itself, I was very curious if I really got the same version of the battery that I actually bought here in Sweden. The included Anker battery with 20,100 mAh was actually not the same batch or version that I am used to, that I already have actually. If we compare it to my other battery that I bought in Sweden, it's actually the same amount of amperes, 20,100 mAh, that's about 20.1 amps. And as you can see, my previous battery is a little bit larger, and that is quite interesting because the included battery with the TPCAST is a little bit shorter. I'm not sure about the weight because I still think that both weigh the same. They have still exactly the same power. The battery is branded with 20,100 mAh, but the big difference is also that the included battery with the TPCAST only have 4 battery indicators. There are 4 dots. If we compare it to the Anker battery that I bought here in Sweden, I had 10 indicator marks, and well, I would actually prefer to have 10 marks because it's so much easier to know how much of the battery is actually left. Connecting the battery to the battery holder is very simple. You just slide it in like that and now it's connected. You can also see a red light inside of the unit right now, even though it's not even connected to the TPCAST or the HTC Vive itself. Moving on to the second layer inside of the box, first of all, we have the router itself. The router is now TPCAST branded and it looks much more stylish and much more elegant, to be honest. Comparing the new TPCAST router with my previous unbranded router bundled with the Chinese version of the TPCAST, as you can see, the difference is quite huge. First of all, the router is a little bit bigger in size, but it's actually much more thinner, as you can see. It's also much more better looking, I think. If we take a look at the back of the two routers, the new one and the old one, don't get confused. Actually, the colors has actually been mixed up here, because in the old version, the internet input was here. The WAN input was actually yellow and it's over here. And the two others are Ethernet ports, LAN 1 and LAN 2 port. On the new router, we have actually the internet connector blue. And also we have 4 LAN ports now, or Ethernet ports, so we can connect up to 4 different devices. So don't get confused about the colors, have just switched them for some reason. Furthermore, we have an internet cable included, so you can attach it to your existing router or a second Ethernet port on your PC, that I actually recommend you to do. And also, because this is a European version of the TPCAST, we have now a European power connector or adapter included. Looking even deeper inside of the box, we have even more stuff here, of course. First of all, we have the pouch that we can strap on a belt or a strap or whatever, and it's so handy to have it to put the battery and the battery holder itself inside of it. It's so much easier to play when it's hanging on your belt like this. The cables are just like before, HDMI and USB cables specially made for the TPCAST unit. They're short and they look quite high quality, to be honest. We also now have a strap or a belt included that we can actually attach the battery holder itself on it, and I think that was quite generous of TPCAST to include it, because not all of us have a spare belt to use with the HTC Vive and the TPCAST. So I think it's a very welcome addition to add this little strap or belt into the package itself. Lastly, we have a quick start guide included. We have some warranty papers that you may want to save in case of. Also, we have some safety guide and some other instructions, and I can really recommend you to read it all before you start up the installation of the TPCAST on your HTC Vive. In my first unboxing video of the Chinese version of the TPCAST, I've already went through all the installation process of how you connect all those cables, and so I'm not gonna go through that once again in this review video, because I don't think that's necessary. If you need full instructions on how you install and set up the TPCAST on your HTC Vive with the Deluxe Audio Strap, I recommend you to go up here in this link and check it out first. I wouldn't call the installation process of the TPCAST complicated, but it's still not hassle-free. It takes some time to get those cables right, to get them through those small, narrow holes, and you will probably spend like 20 minutes before you actually feel satisfied with your cable connections and how the cable look. Well, for me, it's not a big thing how it actually looks. Also, I have the Vive and Chill fans, so they're making a little bit more mess around with the cables, but I don't think that's a big problem. For me, it's all about having it to work, and I don't care about the looks, to be honest. As I did in my last TPCAST installation video, I've attached the transmitter of the TPCAST high up in one of my corners of the room, attaching only the HDMI cable and the power cable to it, because the USB cable is not needed in this case. Compared to the Chinese version of the TPCAST and this European retail version of the TPCAST, we don't actually need to sync up the receiver and the transmitter on the wall. As soon as I put in the battery into the battery holder, you're gonna see that the light starts blinking fast in a few seconds, and it just worked with the synchronization right away. As you can see, it's blinking very fast over here at the top of the TPCAST receiver. So the final hardware installation step is of course to plug in and get this router running. And you may wonder, why do we even need a router to be able to use the TPCAST? Well guys, let me explain. The transmitter on the wall, the TPCAST transmitter and the receiver on our HTC Vive is transmitting the HDMI signal, the image signal, but the tracking data that we used to send through a USB cable back on the HTC Vive is now actually transferred through Wi-Fi and received with this router. So it is necessary. And as far as I know, there are two ways of connecting the router into your PC to get the TPCAST to work. First method is to connect the provided Ethernet cable and plug it into the blue connector or the blue input of the router and connect it to your router itself, your home router. So the internet connection is going to go through your home router to this router, and then you connect all your PCs and devices you want to have internet connection, and then you will have the internet connection going through this router into your gaming PC, for example. But I don't like this idea. First of all, the Chinese version of this TPCAST router was only limited to 100 megabit up and down. Problem is, at home I have 500 megabit down and 50 megabit up, and that would actually limit my download speed of the internet. So I don't want to use that. Also, there is a security risk, of course, having a second router connected through your internet connection. I would actually not recommend that. So the second option to install this TPCAST router is to actually take this provided cable, put it in the, well, some of the yellow inputs, the LAN inputs, let's put it in the first one, and then you connect this cable to a second Ethernet port of your PC. If you don't have that, you can of course buy a PCI Express Ethernet card or network card for maybe 20 bucks or something. This way you will not need to have the internet running through this router. It's gonna work just as expected, but this cable and this router is going to be connected to your second Ethernet port of your PC. And I would highly recommend you to do it this way, because it gets rid of the risk, the security risk, by having another router between your internet connection and your very important PCs at home. Also, I think, well, limiting your internet speed by having a router in between is just stupid idea. So use one of the yellow ports, connect this provided Ethernet cable and plug it into a second Ethernet or internet port on your PC, your gaming PC that you're gonna use with the HTC Vive. And it's gonna work, I promise you. I did that with the Chinese version of the TPCAST and it actually worked great. So having that done, everything connected now, let's jump into the software installation of the TPCAST and get this to run. So let's head over to the tpcastvr.com. This is the official website of the TPCAST unit. We're going to jump into support and download the latest wireless connection assistant. The current version is 1.1.4. I have already downloaded it, so it's on my desktop here, and I'm going to start off the installation. So the installation process is probably just like any other software installation. Just follow the steps and it's gonna install everything for you as expected. As soon as it's ready, just launch the application and we're gonna get asked for the Wi-Fi name and the Wi-Fi password. After submitting the numbers, the username and the password for the TPCAST, we get some kind of an installation guide, and I don't think we're actually gonna need it because everything is already connected. We have already attached the battery, we have already put the transmitter on the wall itself, and the router is connected to our PC. So let's start off and see if the TPCAST connects to our transmitter. It's gonna take some time. The Chinese version of the TPCAST and the first software available for the TPCAST was quite slow, to be honest. It took some time to actually be able to connect to the TPCAST receiver. It took around between 20 to 30 or maybe 35 seconds, and it looks like it takes, well, kind of the same time to actually start off, and that's a shame. I was hoping for a little bit faster startup, maybe like 10 or 15 seconds, but once it's done, it's just done and it's just gonna work until you well, disconnect the battery or reboot your PC. So the TPCAST is now connected, everything is blue, all the 4 steps here. And what we do now is just to start up the Steam VR and let's see how it looks. The headset is now connected. And well, I'm not turned on the controllers yet, but I will do so, and I think it's time now to do some testing with the TPCAST. So now you may wonder, how well does the TPCAST perform in virtual reality? Guys, as I said before in my previous TPCAST reviews, guys, there is no difference whatsoever in the image quality or the signal while playing wirelessly with the TPCAST. I specifically aimed for very fast moving games, first-person shooters specifically, just like the upcoming game Alpha Mike Foxtrot, also the Overturn game that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago, just like the Overkill and many others. First of all, the signal is just perfect. There is no compression whatsoever. The image is not compressed in any way, whatever you may think, or if you have any doubts about it, there is no signal compression. So the image is gonna look exactly as it does when you're playing with the HTC Vive with those original wires. I played for more than 4 hours straight, tested out a lot of different virtual reality games. I literally stress tested this unit to the max, as I do in my regular way as well when I'm doing those virtual reality gameplay videos for you. But this time I really took the edge by actually crawling on the floor. I was rolling on the floor around. I was looking up and down so fast. I shaked my head in any direction. I was moving around in my game space like never before. I really tried to find some kind of spot where I actually lost the tracking or the signal, but I just simply didn't. This unit, just like the Chinese version of the TPCAST, is just working flawlessly. No matter if you're playing games or if you are using any kind of application in virtual reality, if you're just in Steam VR environment or whatever, the signal is just perfect. As long as you set up the transmitter on your wall quite high up in one of the corners pointing at you, it's gonna work just fine. And also, as I did in my first review and the unboxing video of the Chinese TPCAST, I really tried to lose the signal by actually covering the receiver on my head, the TPCAST receiver, with first one of my hands and then also both of my hands. When I covered with one hand, almost nothing happened. I could see a little bit of compression of the image when I covered up with one of my hands, but it was almost not noticeable. When I covered up with my two hands, with my both hands, so the whole receiver was actually covered up, I could clearly see some compression going on. It looks like some kind of distortion or compression, but what really hit me is that compared to the Chinese version of the TPCAST, it could actually take up to 1 second before the image actually restored to normal after, well, covering off the receiver itself. But with this new European unit, I actually tried to do this a lot of times, and I realized that as soon as I took away my hands, it was like a millisecond and the image was just perfect again. The tracking was perfect, the signal was perfect, and that is quite impressive because, I mean, the signal is going quite fast between those two units, the transmitter and the receiver, but I was not expecting it to recover so fast because it didn't with the Chinese version. Sometimes when I lost some kind of signal, maybe when I was leaning towards this corner in here, so I was covering the whole receiver with my body, of course there will be some kind of signal loss. But with this new European version unit, the signal, even though the compression kicked in and I saw some distortion or so, but right after I moved my hand, it was just perfect signal again. So do not have any doubts about this signal because it is uncompressed, it is sharp, just like the original picture with those wires when you're playing without the TPCAST, and it just works. So whilst the signal quality being perfect, how about the tracking and also the latency, or is there any lag in this unit while moving around your head very fast? And so the simple answer is again no. There is no tracking issues whatsoever. The tracking signal is being sent through Wi-Fi from the headset to the router, as I mentioned before, but there is no lag whatsoever, nor on the headset, nor on the controllers you're holding and waving around with. There is simply no lag at all. And well, yes, I have been using the TPCAST, the Chinese version, for more than 3 months now, but I'm also using the Oculus Rift, which still is wired, but I can see no difference in any lag or any kind of latency. I think that these are just some kind of theories that people have, that a wireless receiver should have any lag, because of course you're transmitting the signal through air and it's gonna take some time. But no guys, it really is flawless. So moving on, there is a very important question here. Does Supersampling work with the HTC Vive connected to the TPCAST? The simple answer once again is yes, because no matter of what Supersampling value you add in Steam VR, the game is gonna get sharper of course, but the signal is still gonna be the same, or the data bandwidth is still gonna be exactly the same sent from the transmitter to the receiver, the TPCAST receiver. So you can have Supersampling of 2.0, 2.5 or even 5 if your computer can manage it, and you are gonna get that sharp picture that you are looking after, but there will be no performance issues more than those your computer are adding, of course. But the TPCAST is not limited in any way in terms of Supersampling. Just like I said, it's the same signal being transferred, it's the same amount of data being transferred. So how about the TPCAST software? Yes, it has been improved since my first version with the Chinese TPCAST unit. And well, it looks a little bit better, it is faster as well, maybe not the first time you fire off the TPCAST and HTC Vive, but after rebooting the PC, it is gonna start off the TPCAST faster. It takes maybe 10 or 15 seconds now. Before that, it took almost 30 or 35 seconds every time, and that was quite annoying. But with this new version, it is more faster, but I still don't see the big point of having the software, because there is not much you can do besides of starting off the TPCAST itself. So why cannot this be built in some way into the Steam VR environment or the Steam application? So when you're just like starting off Steam VR, then the TPCAST application could start off in the background, kick off the HTC Vive with the TPCAST, and then you can just jump into virtual reality after maybe 30 seconds or so. But no, you first have to take that step to start off the TPCAST software, start it off, wait for maybe 15 or maybe 20 seconds, and then you are able to start off Steam VR. Well, and it is an additional effort that some people may not like. So I really hope that the TPCAST creators will improve the software, or maybe build it into the Steam environment or the Steam application itself. But having that said, the software is simple. I mean, it's perfect for new virtual reality users as well, because you just start it off and it just works. The first time I started off, it just worked. I had no problems whatsoever connecting the TPCAST to the transmitter or the PC. So, well, maybe the less options you got, or maybe the less settings you got, the easier it is and more plug and play, and that's not a bad thing in the end. Moving on to the battery and the battery life as well. Well, the Anker battery, that is 20.1 amps, is actually a different version of what I have already since before, because there are only 4 indicators on it, and I found it a little bit disappointing, because I was thinking that the battery that's going to be included with the latest European version of the TPCAST will have the latest Anker battery with those 10 rounded indicators, because I think it's quite important to have a lot of indicators to see. If you just have 1 indicator left out of 4 being lightened up, we don't know if there is like 25% left of the battery or maybe 5%. So having 10 indicators as I have on my other Anker batteries that I have been using with the Chinese TPCAST, it's so much easier to see when the battery is actually below 10%, because then we have one of the 10 lights just lighten up. So I wish they could provide us with the latest Anker Power Core Plus, I think it's called, the latest battery, but of course it's a matter of the price. Probably it's a little bit more expensive than the default one. But having that said, the battery works great, and I was using this European version of the TPCAST for more than 4 hours. I think it was around 4 hours and 20 minutes until the battery died totally. Then I had to replace it with one of my other batteries. And if you are aiming to buy a TPCAST, I would really recommend you to go for 2 batteries at least, because there is an issue. The charging time of one battery is between 8 to 12 hours, depending on what charger you're using, of course. There are faster and there are slower chargers. So if you're using some kind of in-between charger, you may have to wait around 10 hours before the battery is fully charged from 0 to 100%. And that's 10 hours. So if you are playing for 4 hours and would like to play for 2 hours more, well, either you buy one more battery or you have to wait till the next day before you can move on and play in virtual reality again. A cool thing about the battery included with the TPCAST is that it's actually shorter. It's maybe like 1.5 or maybe 2 centimeters shorter than the Anker Power Core Plus battery that I have since before. And that is good. I mean, I think the weight was kind of the same, but having a little bit shorter battery is of course much easier to have it in that pocket, in the included pocket. So, I mean, that's not bad. Also, the pocket is awesome. If you're gonna use HTC Vive with the TPCAST, I promise you will use that pocket for the battery, because it makes a difference. You don't want to have that battery in your jeans pocket or your trousers pocket, because it's so uncomfortable after a while. Also, the battery gets hot. Of course it does get hot. It's not gonna be very hot, but it's still hot enough to be uncomfortable to have in your back pocket. And so with this included pouch or pocket you get, and also the strap or the belt that the TPCAST is actually providing us now with the European unit, we can just strap it around our waist and have it, well, maybe at the side or maybe at the back, and it's comfortable. I gotta tell you, it is comfortable and it works great. Furthermore, about the battery, I actually decided to make one test that I think you may be curious about. Let's check it out. So how about changing the battery while playing? I would like to show you an example of how it is if I unplug the battery during my gameplay, and if I reconnect it, what happens, how long does it take before it actually kicks in again, and what we need to do to get it to kick in. So here it is, it's on right now, it's working as expected. I'm just gonna pull the battery out right now for a second. There we go. And it's disconnected now. And in a few seconds already there you can see that it's not connected in the TPCAST connection assistant. So the Steam VR mirror, as you see, has just frozen, but Steam VR is still actually running, because we have it still here in the background. The controllers are on, the lighthouses are somehow not connected. I don't know why, but that's supposed to be this way, I guess. Anyway, we are gonna connect it back now and see how long it takes before we actually can start and continue to play our game. So now it's connected again, and we'll see how it goes. I can see that the transmitter is still blinking slowly, so it has not yet synced to the receiver. Yeah, now it has actually, now it's blinking very fast. And as you can see, the assistant software, the TPCAST assistant software, is right now working on reconnecting the unit. It's looking for the power box connection, and it's gonna do that for a short while, and we'll see what happens. The Steam VR is still frozen, nothing is happening, it's not showing up anything. We're gonna just wait until the bar over here is all the way up 360. So let's just wait, and as we can see now, it's connected again, and the TPCAST is supposed to be connected any second now. But what I realized is, oh, now we can see that the lighthouses are getting connected and everything is blue again. But we have a problem actually, because the headset is totally black. I can not see anything in the headset right now, and the only solution I have found to make it to work again is to actually restart Steam. And we're gonna do that by just clicking here, quit Steam, Steam VR of course, and we're gonna do it once again, start it off once again in a few seconds, like this. And let's just start it off. As you can see, the TPCAST is running, and it's supposed to be running just like before. And now we're back. There we go. So, well, it wasn't much of effort to get it to work after changing battery, but you still need to actually quit Steam VR and reboot it or restart it once again. So the controllers are not connected yet because they power off, of course, automatically when I turn off Steam VR. So, well, yes, it works. I can see the picture and everything, and it looks as it should. So this is actually a big difference between the Chinese version of the TPCAST, because I couldn't do this with the Chinese version. Once I disconnected the battery, I had to close down everything, connect the battery again, and then restart the TPCAST connection assistant, and then start off Steam VR, and then it worked again. But here it is automatically reconnecting to the headset with the TPCAST right away as you just plug in the battery back again. So that's perfect if you have several batteries to well, so you can switch between them while playing. And of course, well, I wish I could do this while in the game, but so far it's not possible because you need to restart Steam VR. I would like to move on and start to talk about the issues, because there are some issues with this unit and this may really disappoint you. I've been mentioning those issues in my previous TPCAST reviews and they're still there. Let's start off with the microphone support. The built-in HTC Vive microphone that was not working in the Chinese TPCAST version, guess what? It's still not working in the European version. If you jump into the settings or options in the Steam VR, you're not able to see the microphone being available, so you cannot even choose it. So the conclusion here is that it's not supported, and this is a big disappointment. I think a lot of people are probably gonna hesitate to buy this TPCAST unit just because of this. And yes, of course, you can use some kind of audio headset with built-in microphone or some kind of wireless microphone, or well, you can use a lavalier microphone just like I do and record the sound to your phone just like I'm doing right now. But how about multiplayer? I mean, in multiplayer we want to use that microphone built into the HTC Vive headset, but that is not possible wirelessly. So the only solution now is to use a headset with a built-in microphone, and even though it works, it's quite bulky. I've been using that. I was using my Corsair Void wireless headset a while back, just when I started off with the Chinese TPCAST unit. But after like a few days I realized, no, this is not gonna work. First of all, it's so bulky above that HTC Vive with the deluxe audio strap and the TPCAST, and then on top of that you put that headset on, or the audio headset. It's too much, and also it's very hot. I mean, summertime, it's getting really hot while playing in virtual reality, and a headset on top of that with those big headphones or earphones, they're gonna just be a big pain. So the microphone issue is still there, and I'm so bothered about that, and I'm hoping so much that they could fix this or somehow provide the support by some kind of software update or a firmware update. Well, I wouldn't hold my breath, but I really hope so, because this is a deal breaker for a lot of people. So you better fix this, TPCAST, because it is important, more important than you may think. Another thing is the camera, the built-in HTC Vive camera. I know a lot of people are not using the camera at all. I stopped using it way back. I think it was in summer 2016. It was cool in the beginning. I could actually push that button and see my room and environment in some kind of, well, you know, Matrix style. But I know there are people using that camera but they're not able to do that with the TPCAST because no, it's still not supported. If you jump into the SteamVR settings once again and go into camera settings, it's just not available, it's not there. So that gives me the conclusion that the wireless transmission of the USB signal through the Wi-Fi is not transmitting any of the camera signal. Moving on with the issues, because yes, there are few more. Guys, you remember my Chinese TPCAST version actually had a noisy transmitter. The transmitter that is up on the wall over there, it's kind of making a coil whine or something. It's much more louder than the HTC Vive lighthouses, and it's really apparent, okay? You can really hear it. Maybe not when you're using headphones while playing some virtual reality game, but as soon as you put them off, you're gonna hear that strange bzzz sound. And I gotta disappoint you because I got really surprised that this European unit still has the same sound. And first off, I thought I mixed up those transmitters, the old one with the new one, but the new one, well, it was still noisy just like the Chinese version. Of course, they look the same and so, but I was hoping for this issue to be fixed by now. And even though this isn't a big problem for me personally, I always play with headphones, and even though I'm recording my gameplays, I can actually filter out that little noise. But some people could be very sensitive to that sound, and I'm bothered about this because I think this is an issue. If I had the Chinese version having this sound or this buzzy noise, and also the new European retail version of the TPCAST and still having the same sound, so now I wonder what's wrong. I mean, they should have been able to fix this issue, but apparently they haven't. Also, there are a lot of reports from TPCAST users that there is a green line at the far end of the right display. And I have been mentioning this to you before in one of my TPCAST review videos before with the Chinese version. And yes, I saw that green line, but I didn't see that while playing actually, even though I'm using 6mm of covers, those very thin VR covers for the HTC Vive. I could not see that green line, besides when I really moved the headset to one of the sides and then I peeked to the right and then I was like, oh yeah, I see that green light now. But anyhow, there are people that can see that green light quite easy, even while playing games, especially dark games, when that green light a little bit appears more in the image. And it's still a very thin line of green, but it's still there. And the big problem here is that this European retail version of the TPCAST has the exact same green line. I was not expecting that. I was expecting this to be fixed, but it's not. So, well, this is a very nice unit, TPCAST. I'm not gonna blame you or so, but I'm a little bit disappointed that you could have fixed it. I don't know what this green line is all about, but I know a lot of people will probably hesitate to buy this headset just because of that line. Because people are different. Some people have the eyes more, a little bit more to the forward. Some people have more in-depth eyes. I mean, the eyes are more in deep in the head. So maybe I'm one of them, so I don't see that green line so apparent, not at all actually while playing, but some people really can see that green line all the time while playing, and that is an issue. So please, in some way, fix this, because this is another deal breaker for a lot of people that will probably hesitate to buy this TPCAST wireless unit. So this was my main 4 issues that I really wanted to cover here, because it's really important that you know about this. I mean, all in all, this wireless unit for the HTC Vive is awesome. It's gonna take your virtual reality gaming to a whole new level, I promise you that. But those flaws or those issues with that missing microphone, with that missing camera, and also the green light and that noisy transmitter, it may be a little bit too much for some people. And this is not, this unit is not for free. In Sweden it costs almost 400 bucks if you do the conversion from Swedish crowns to American dollars, it's 400 bucks. That's a lot of money. You actually almost get an Oculus Rift bundle for the same amount of money here in Sweden. There is one more thing that I would like to add, and that some people may think that you can actually connect an USB microphone and get it to work with your HTC Vive wirelessly, because there is an empty slot for an USB 3 slot inside of the HTC Vive that I'm currently using for the Vive and Chill fans. But once again, just like I tried it on the Chinese version of the TPCAST, I actually tried to connect some devices to the second USB 3 port and they were just not detected. So I don't think there is any data transfer between that USB and the headset itself. It's just power or something. This may be able to be fixed with some kind of upgrade or update or whatever, but currently I could not find any other use of that second USB port, just like you can when you're using the HTC Vive with the wires, because you can practically connect whatever you want to that USB port. But with the TPCAST, there is simply no data between that USB port and the TPCAST receiver. So all in all, I think that the TPCAST is a revolutionary product, because this is the only product on the market that gives us the ability to play in virtual reality wirelessly. And also soon we're also gonna get an Oculus Rift version of the TPCAST, and that is so awesome. I'm sure I'm gonna get that one as well, because as I said before, once you go wireless, you don't want to go back. Maybe that's one of the reasons I don't play that much on the Oculus Rift compared to the HTC Vive, just because I cannot stand those cords anymore. This makes a huge difference. So there are two main questions to be answered now. Will I keep this TPCAST European retail unit, or may I send it back? And am I recommending this TPCAST unit for you guys? Well, starting off, yes, I will keep this unit, because I think that the software over time can actually improve this and actually can solve the issues existing right now. The microphone issue and the camera issue could theoretically be fixed with some software update or some kind of firmware update. I don't know, but I really hope so. And with this current version, the latest version of the TPCAST, at least the software is getting updated compared to the first Chinese version that is not being updated anymore. Also, I will keep this unit just because of the software being faster to connect to the TPCAST itself. It's a much faster process right now. Maybe it's like 15 seconds only. It's not perfect, but it is improved. And I think, for me at least, it's worth to keep this unit and see how it develops, because there's a lot of things they could probably fix with the software itself. And the second question, can I recommend this product to you guys out there? Well, as I used to say, it depends, okay? Let me explain. If you have the money to spend between $300 and $400, depending on where you buy the TPCAST unit, because it is always a little bit cheaper in the United States and it's a little bit more expensive in Europe, just like always. So if you have those money and you can live with those issues, well, honestly, I can recommend this to you any day, because being in virtual reality without those cords, doing it wireless, is a new dimension. It is a big wow factor. You get used to it. That's the thing. It's not gonna be a wow factor for months, no, but once you go back to those cords once, you're gonna just like be so frustrated about those cords all the time. You are used to have this freedom of walking around and spinning around, turning around all the time without even thinking about it, and suddenly you just go back to those cords and you're just like, what the heck? I cannot even play this. You feel like you are attached to something all the time. Well, that fact itself is enough to actually invest in this unit. And I mean, to be honest, TPCAST is actually providing us what it's promising. It is working, there is no latency, there is no lag, perfect image quality, perfect signal quality, perfect tracking. So there's no doubt this unit actually works as expected and as promised. But if you think that the issues with the microphone or the camera or whatever are concerning you, I think you may be good by waiting a while. Maybe reconsider this and wait a while until they eventually fix this with some software update or something, or maybe there will be some other companies providing us with some wireless solutions for the HTC Vive and Oculus Rift soon. We'll see about that, maybe that Intel solution coming up next year. So guys, lastly, I really hope that this review of the TPCAST European Retail Edition was somehow helpful for you. I hope I answered all your questions and concerns about these units. Decide for yourself, make your own conclusion, and I'm really thankful that you watched this video. I really appreciate that. And if you think this video was helpful, please hit that like button and also subscribe to my channel. And don't miss out my Pimax 8K review that I made last week, because it's quite an interesting headset as well. So guys, anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will hopefully be back in a couple of days with some VR gameplays again, because it's been a while since I was playing some game on my channel. So for now, thank you so much for watching once again. If you have any questions or concerns, please leave them in the comments down here below as well. I will try to answer as soon as I can. Take care for now, have a lovely evening, and see you very soon again. Cheers guys!